Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. This is The Way. This will be my full Mandalorian Season 3, Episode 5 video. There were a whole bunch of Easter eggs and references, so we'll break it all down. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the episodes, and careful for spoilers if you haven't seen the episode yet. We'll just start at the beginning of the episode, work our way through shot by shot, talking about Easter eggs and WTF moments, starting with the episode title. It was The Pirate, which is a reference to Gorian Shard, who makes a huge assault on Nevarro in retaliation for earlier this season when Greef Karga and Mando killed his men. They also imply that he's working in concert with Moff Gideon and Thrawn, and this is all part of their grand plan to rally, like the forces of the Empire are slowly building again or rebuilding in the Outer Rim. The other big reason why Gorian Shard would want control of Nevarro is because now it's getting much richer because it's a major trade hub, so he wants all that money that's flowing through the system. But because of everything during Carson Teva's storyline, they imply that something larger is at play, and he is working in concert with the former forces of the Empire.
There's something dangerous happening out there. All these events, it's not a coincidence.
They keep calling them the remnants of the Empire. You can call them the Empire however you want to think of them, but it's basically Moff Gideon and Thrawn's forces. The actual opening scene is on Nevarro. They feature pretty much all the same characters that you saw running around in the streets during the earlier episode. Like that's the same gonk droid we saw walking through the town square earlier. Inside, Greef Karga is talking about more development plans with his droids and other people. The droid here seems like it's based on the original Ralph McQuarrie concept art of C-3PO, including the other 3PO droid he has, which seems like it's also based on that same concept art. You notice in the background, he's got another R5 droid. There are a lot of droids in this episode. When Gorian Shard comes in with his Corsair, all of his ships and his men, and starts making fun of Greef Karga, claiming he's gone soft now that he's tried to go legit, both making Greedo shot first references, like hand shot first, Greedo shot first.
He shot first.
Well, now I will shoot first.
Yes, I bet you have.
He also references both Sabak and Moff Gideon. I think that's another callback to Carson Teva's suspicions that Gorian Shard is working with Moff Gideon's forces. The Spinward patrol that he references, I believe, is meant to be Carson Teva's New Republic patrol that he works with. When things start going crazy in the streets and everyone starts fleeing, this white 3PO droid, I believe, is the same one from Season 2. I think she was meant to be the school teacher. The lava flats that he mentions that they go to, we saw during Season 1, which they also referenced at the end of the episode, basically giving them in a bunch of territory to the Mandalorians. Sort of a homecoming episode for them, because they used to live on Nevarro. Then we travel to a Delphi base, picking up with Carson Teva's patrol. There's Y-Wings, X-Wings, basically all the standard New Republic ships you would expect. We visited this place during the Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 2 as well. He gets Greef Karga's message, seems reluctant to ask the New Republic for aid. I think he's just bristling at the idea of all the bureaucracy of the New Republic, like they want to throw the New Republic under the bus even more like they did during Episode 3. They make a lot of jokes about the New Republic during the episode. But it's all part of this storyline where Greef Karga told Mando in Episode 1, like it's a callback to that, where he said he wanted to keep Nevarro as independent as possible from all the different governing bodies, the different forces in the galaxy, primarily the New Republic, the remnants of the Empire, the Hutts, any other major organization. That's why he was so happy to get help from the Mandalorians, because they're a faction that's not looking to absolutely control Nevarro, they're just looking for a place to live. Had to find somewhere else to live just because they've been living in the Star Wars version of Jurassic Park, people being eaten every other week. Them moving back to Nevarro feels like a big step up for them. Then we get another really cool Easter egg, and I actually think that it's a bit of a setup for the Ahsoka series. Zeb from Star Wars Rebels, he's a Lasat.
They haven't returned a dispatch in weeks. They're swamped. We'll never get an answer in time.
After the episode, I had to double check because his voice sounded familiar, and in the credits, it is Stephen Bloom, and he's credited as Zeb. So this is our first big Ahsoka series crossover that isn't just Ahsoka herself. Like, Zeb will probably be on the Ahsoka series.
We're a cell? Wait, did you know we were a cell?
No.
The protocol has changed.
Fulcrum.
Ahsoka. My name is Ahsoka Tano.
We'll see if his appearance in this episode leads to something bigger from his character this season, like a reunion with Ahsoka at some point, or a reunion with the other characters from the Ghost, but do not be surprised if we get a much bigger cameo scene from those live-action versions of the Ghost characters in Rebels. If you didn't watch Star Wars Rebels, he was just a member of the crew of the Ghost, and they're doing a live-action version of all those characters from the Ghost on Ahsoka. I did an Ahsoka trailer video last year. Pretty much all the footage of her inside a ship was inside the Ghost. And speaking of the Ahsoka series, Dave Filoni directed and he wrote all the episodes. Dave Filoni also cameos in this episode, zoom and enhance. He's also at the bar here. He's wearing his trademark hat that you always see him in. His name is Trapper Wolf. He appeared in previous seasons. They also brought back the other Star Wars directors, Rick Famuyiwa, who directed and executive produced some of this season in particular. He's directed previous seasons too, and Deborah Chow's character, because they played New Republic pilots back during season 1. So they just saying that they were part of this squad. Deborah Chow also directed all the Obi-Wan Kenobi episodes. Carson Teva goes back to Coruscant to get the New Republic's formal help with Gorian Shard, with Colonel Tuttle, played by Tim Meadows, who most of you remember from Saturday Night Live. He's been in a billion things since then, so you probably recognize him from somewhere.
It was happening, and welcome to the ladies' man. The love line with all the right responses to your romantic queries.
He's meant to be in charge of the requisition office where Elia Kane is working, paying off her appearance during episode 3. She clocks Carson Teva and pricks up when he rolls in, asking about Nevarro. The whole idea here is that Nevarro used to be under Imperial control. They also had that secret base there where Dr. Pershing was working on the cloning project, which is a reference to a bunch of different storylines. The whole Grogu cloning plot started out as the Emperor trying to find a way to clone himself, which is a reference to the sequel trilogy. There are Easter eggs for that during the Bad Batch on Mount Tantus, which is also from the Heir to the Empire storyline, and during that there was Force-sensitive cloning, there was a Luke clone, there was a clone of a Jedi Master. Dr. Pershing has a lot of different ideas about what they can do with cloning. I know there are theories that he himself is a clone too. And I think part of the idea is that some of the other Imperials that are still in charge, like Moff Gideon's men, Thrawn's men, also want to use that cloning project to clone Force-sensitive troopers. So there's just a lot of stuff going on in that cloning subplot. And a lot of Moff Gideon's former forces were in that part of the Outer Rim, which is one of the reasons why Elia Kane is so interested in it, because she's in on this. She's working as a plant for Moff Gideon, she's secretly still part of the Empire. She's working in this New Republic office, and she hears news about what's happening near their forces. But they want to make the Carson Teva character feel like he is a smart person, so he clocks her instantly, why are you so interested in Nevarro? Oh, you used to work out there. And he notices based on her badge that she used to be Imperial, so he instantly puts 2 and 2 together that, oh, you were used to be out there, you knew Nevarro because you worked with Moff Gideon, you used to be part of the Empire. So even though he doesn't realize that she's still a double agent, he knows to be wary of her. You are shady as hell. And the whole joke with Tim Meadows' Colonel Tuttle character is that he's basically your average bureaucrat who isn't willing to help a non-member planet because Nevarro hasn't signed the New Republic charter they're talking about. That's the charter that all planets in the galaxy would have had to sign to gain access to all the New Republic support systems like basic supplies, basic aid. And they're kind of portraying the New Republic bureaucracy as being the beginning of its downfall. Just as things are getting started with the New Republic, it's already leading to its own downfall, becoming just as ineffectual as the Empire became. Carson Teva starts talking about the recent reports of stormtroopers in the area, Moff Gideon. He directly references Moff Gideon. He talks about TIE fighters flying in broad daylight. Look, the Empire is very clearly still very much a big part of the galaxy in that area. We should be paying attention. It's also meant to be another callback to earlier this season with the TIE Interceptors, the TIE Bombers that blew up Bo-Katan's ancestral home on Kalevala. They're part of Moff Gideon and Grand Admiral Thrawn's forces and connected to the big teaser at the end of the episode too. There is definitely something more sinister at play. Don't worry, I'll talk about that teaser at the end of the episode in a second. So when Carson Teva says the pirate activity isn't an isolated incident on Nevarro, he's saying he thinks Gorian Shard is connected to Moff Gideon and Thrawn somehow. The pirates are probably working with the Imperials or working for them. He references the rumor that Moff Gideon didn't make it to trial, which we heard in episode 3, also setting up the end of the episode 2, which is basically the crime scene that he finds. Oh, this was the shuttle that was meant to carry Moff Gideon to that New Republic prison. It never got there. Bringing things back around to Elia Kane's true mission to be a Empire plant in the New Republic so that she can keep tabs on what they're doing. This also helps clarify what was going on with Dr. Pershing. Why was she messing with his brain, getting him to forget even more stuff? Why did she crank the dial up so high? What was she trying to get him to forget? The whole idea there is that she wants to prevent him from informing on her. So she wanted him to forget everything that she'd been doing the last several days, like all the meetings that they had with each other, and probably even all memory of her just to begin with, just so that she could continue infiltrating the New Republic. The funny thing too, when he starts trading barbs with Elia Kane, they start arguing with each other, getting kind of pissy. When she says she saw the light, all I could think of was the Star Trek episode, the very famous Star Trek Next Generation episode, where Picard starts going on about the lights. I think the fact that she was trying to prevent Tuttle from sending New Republic aid to Nevarro is just confirmation that Moff Gideon's forces, Thrawn's forces, were working with Gorian Shard, and they're trying to control that area of space. And when he warns Tuttle about larger things being at play in the Outer Rim, and it's going to be too late for the New Republic to act once they do find out what's really going on, that's another reference to Moff Gideon and Thrawn rallying, rebuilding their forces in the huge endgame level event that all the Mandoverse shows are building to. They've already revealed that Thrawn is meant to be like the Thanos of that big crossover, but they didn't say when that's actually going to happen, like this final confrontation. It sounds like it's still going to be a long ways off. I believe the first big thing is Thrawn will become a much bigger character during the Ahsoka series, and then eventually you start seeing him cross over to other series. But I also think this is meant to be a reference partially to the Season 3 finale, where both the Mandalorians and the Empire, like Moff Gideon and Thrawn's forces, all have rallies. Like they both go out on very high moments, like really good for the Mandalorians, like they all come together, unite, but also on the other side of the coin, the former Imperial forces like Moff Gideon's men and Thrawn's people also unite. And it just becomes a big escalation pushing into future seasons in the spin-off shows like the Ahsoka series. I also think what they're trying to show here with the New Republic being so bogged down in bureaucracy is they want to show you how it was able to fall to the First Order. Like, how was the First Order able to form under their noses? Why weren't they watching more carefully? Because they were so bogged down with bureaucracy. All the chips that they joke about in his office lying all over the place are also a reference to Episode 3 with Dr. Pershing. They're all meant to be the old Imperial ships like old Star Destroyers, capital ships, even old ships from the Rebellion on the Rebellion side of things, that they're all in the process of decommissioning. So like it's all this junk that they're slowly destroying. So he's more worried about the trash pile in his backyard than he is about the big threat in the Outer Rim. Then we go back to Nevarro, and Greef Karga is leading the townspeople to the lava flats. I'm assuming this isn't every single member of the town because there aren't that many people here. Like, it seems like there were more people living in this place. And Carson Teva goes to the Armorer's Mandalorians for help. And big surprise here too, because you actually think he was tracking Bo-Katan's ship because he looks at it and says like, ah, there it is, I found it. But then reveals that it was actually R5-D4 that alerted him to their presence because R5-D4 used to be part of the rebellion working with him. He is meant to be the same R5-D4 from A New Hope. The new canon for his character, like the new backstory, is that after he blew his motivator to allow R2 to be purchased by Lars Owen so that he could continue his mission to find Obi-Wan Kenobi, then the Star Wars people just say that R5 officially joined the rebellion and became a backup unit in one of the Rebels' X-Wings in one of the squadrons, making it sound like he also flew in Carson Teva's rebellion squadron, and that's how they're old bros. The reason why the Mandalorians keep insulting Carson Teva, calling him blue, like clear out blue, is because the New Republic flag is blue. Like you see blue on his helmet there. They're basically saying, get out of here, New Republic. The message from Greef Karga is what convinces the Mandalorians to help, with a big rally speech from Mando and the heavy infantrymen to convince them. Carson Teva also conveys his suspicions that Gorian Shard is connected to the Empire and they're rebuilding their forces. You notice when Mando is petitioning the group, he holds the Armorer's Beskar Forge hammer, and that's part of their tradition. Anytime any of them wants to address the group, they hold that Beskar hammer. His whole call to action is that they shouldn't be hiding anymore, they should live in the light of day, setting up them permanently settling on Nevarro in the light of day, literally no longer hiding in an underground lair. He also tries to win them over into sort of the enemy of my enemy is my friend kind of situation. Remember we used to live there? Also, they really hate the Empire. The Empire's bad. The Empire destroyed our planet Mandalore. Shouldn't we help them against our common enemy? So they also want to set up the idea that the Mandalorians are also thinking about the Empire marshaling their forces, rebuilding their forces in a way that the New Republic is not maybe the Empire's out there somewhere. We'll deal with them later until it's too late. So the whole idea now is that the Mandalorians are probably going to step in like they stepped in on Nevarro. It'll be them to try and stop Moff Gideon and Thrawn when they eventually rally. The other big surprise here, but paying off the previous episode, paying off the whole idea that he now owes Mando and Bo-Katan for saving his child. This is the way, they're all cool now, no more beef between them. They played a little funny, he buries the lead just a little bit. You think that he's going to speak against helping out Mando because he mentions Grogu. Remember when a bunch of us died saving Grogu during Season 1? They make a couple references to that Season 1 episode where all the Mandalorians rolled out to help them, and surprisingly winds up siding with him, no, we need to go with Mando, we need to help Nevarro, we need to stop living in the shadows because this is the way. Bo-Katan leads their strike force and gives them all these orders because she's been doing operations like this, leading teams like this her whole life going back to the Clone Wars, also setting up the idea that the Armor wants her to be the person to unite all Mandalorians. Like, oh no, you're used to doing this, you know how it works, you're the person to make this happen. So they're just establishing that Bo-Katan is a good leader. So the whole idea here is that Mando attacks Gorian Shard's Corsair, getting the ships to chase into the canyons as a distraction, allowing Bo-Katan to drop the rest of the Mandalorians in the city and then go start strafing the Corsair itself. This whole orchestrated rescue mission from the Mandalorians is also meant to show you what they're all capable of when they all work together on a heavily planned mission. They'll continue doing things like this in the future, and even in a much bigger way. During all the fight scenes too, you notice that the Salacious Crumb Kowakian lizards, like their race are Kowakian, so the Kowakian lizards serve as sort of hecklers during the battle, but they were there during episode 1 too, just yelling at everybody that passed by them in the street. During the ground assault, they give the heavy infantryman another cool scene of him using that heavy repeating blaster, just like in episode 3, season 1. A lot of this battle is meant to be a mirror of that season 1 battle, but in daylight, with even more of them. I believe during this scene too, Gorian Shard also gives us our first Dank Farrik call out in a bunch of episodes. That's sort of the Star Wars version of the F-bomb. Mando said it a bunch of times during season 1 and season 2. We get another cool fight scene with the Armor personally destroying the pirates in the tower with her hammer. It's meant to be a callback to that season 1 battle that she had too. We'll see her in more battle scenes eventually. We get another cool scene of Mando and Bo-Katan dogfighting with the fighters, taking them out like we saw earlier this season, and then also taking out the Corsair. The reason why they just went for the engine is because even though the Corsair isn't that big, like it's big, they don't have enough firepower to actually just blow it up outright. So it's just smarter for them to take out the engine and then let gravity do the work of destroying the ship. Work smarter, not harder. It's also another cool team-up with Bo-Katan and Mando, so I can't wait to see them actually have a ground assault team-up together too. We haven't really seen that yet. We've seen them fight together, but mostly just in their ships when they're dogfighting. In exchange for saving them from Gorian Shard, Greef Karga offers them the land nearby, everything from the lava flats, which we saw way back during season 1, to Bullock Canyon. A lot of you longtime Star Wars fans might recognize Bullock is meant to be an Easter egg for Jeremy Bullock, who was the original Boba Fett actor in the original trilogy. He also passed away recently. Within the context of the Star Wars universe, though, Bullock Canyon on Nevarro here is the canyon where they rescued the Mythosaur played by Horatio Sands during season 2, where Dr. Pershing had his secret cloning lab. But the major idea now is that the Armor's group of Mandalorians won't be hiding anymore. Like, they still have that underground lair, it still belongs to them technically, but they'll have regular housing, like they won't be hiding in a cave anymore. They also won't be threatened by being eaten by giant animals, like they won't be on Jurassic Park Star Wars edition anymore. Paying off Greef Karga's offer to Mando in episode 1, like, you wanted me to move here, you offer me some land, well, we'll take some of that land. Bo-Katan visits the Armor in their former underground lair from the first couple of seasons, and the Armor tells her about their history on Nevarro, the Forge, and starts explaining more of her own history, like the Armor's backstory. This is actually a pretty big deal. People have been asking to get more backstory for her character for a long time, and the actress Emily Swallow, who plays her, like, even she has only learned a little bit about the Armor's backstory, and she's playing the character. She confirms that she also visited the Great Forge on Mandalore before the Great Purge, and she's remembering it in this glorious kind of way, the way that it used to be. Then starts talking about the Mythosaur, the fact that Bo-Katan saw the living Mythosaur, and how it's meant to be a sign for a new dawn for their people, like a new age is beginning. But the idea is that in order for them to survive, like the Mandalorian culture to survive, all Mandalorians have to reunite and they have to retake Mandalore to do it. So that's why she asked Bo-Katan to remove her helmet, because she wants Bo-Katan to be the person to unite all the Mandalorians. She's lived in both worlds. She's lived with different types of Mandalorian groups who believe in different ideals. And she believes Bo-Katan has the skills needed to actually bring everyone together and lead them. A lot of people wondering about what the relationship with Bo-Katan and the Armor is, because the Armor previously seemed like she knew Bo-Katan not just by reputation, like she knew instantly who she was without her taking her helmet off. Also, the fact that the Armor lived on Mandalore before the Purge implies that she was much closer to Bo-Katan than she lets on. The whole idea with the Watch is that they come from the Death Watch Mandalorians. They had been exiled to the moon Concordia nearby, and they weren't allowed to come to the planet Mandalore, implying that the Armor just had some history that predates what happened with their big schism within the Mandalorians. The Mandalorian Civil Wars is what they call them. Those happened before Duchess Satine took over as ruler from their father. So that all happened before the events of the Clone Wars episodes where we saw Duchess Satine. But one of the other big takeaways from this scene, I think, is confirming that the armor does not hate Bo-Katan. She's actually trying to push her in the direction that she thinks is best for all their people. And this also goes back to what the actress Emily Swallow talked about her character, like what does she want for herself? What is she trying to do? Because she seems so mysterious. The way she talks about her character, at least previously when she was just dealing with Mando and the Darksaber, is that she wanted Mando to become the best version of himself that he could possibly be, and she was trying to push him in that direction. And she didn't want power just for herself, like she held the Darksaber briefly, but nothing she's done has been to try and maneuver herself to become the leader of all these Mandalorians. The way the actress is playing the character is that she's just someone who's meant to follow the true ways of ancient Mandalorians. Like, what is the way? What is the true way? I still think at some point we will see her without her helmet. Like, we'll learn more about her backstory in future seasons if we don't in future episodes this season. The way the actress talked about it, we're not going to learn everything about her character before the end of this season. Like, they weren't going to give everything away right up front. So the whole idea here is that she asked Bo-Katan to remove her helmet, giving her an excuse to leave their group, but mostly because she wants her to go do that. Technically, she could still do that by keeping her helmet on, but the reason for removing her helmet is just to make it easier for Bo-Katan to blend in with the other groups and for them to see more common ground when she goes to these other groups. The other really important thing here, too, is as Bo-Katan is leaving, she seems kind of uncomfortable with all the other Mandalorians watching her, like, wait a minute, she's not wearing her helmet, what's going on here? The armor clearly explains to everyone what's actually going on. It's not meant to be mysterious. Like, no, Bo-Katan is going to go unite all Mandalorians, and we are going to retake the planet Mandalore. So even though the other Mandalorians probably feel kind of weird about Bo-Katan taking her helmet off, they understand why she's doing it. It's not like they all shun her now or anything. So now Bo-Katan is going to go around the galaxy winning over the rest of the Mandalorian factions, like her Night Owls are a good example. That's probably going to be one of the first places she goes. And I think they'll pay this off by the Season 3 finale when all the Mandalorians will come together on Mandalore the planet, because she said literally they're going to retake Mandalore, where we see a much bigger live-action version of a scene like this in Rebels, and they also see, like, all the different Mandalorian factions see the living Mythosaur. I know a lot of people are now asking, does this mean that Bo-Katan will also eventually get the Darksaber back? There's still a lot of questions about that. Technically, it still belongs to Mando, like the Darksaber rests with him. It's a big symbol for their people, so it's going to continue to be a big part of uniting all these Mandalorian factions. My early theory right now is that Mando will just be a big part of helping her unite all Mandalorian factions with the Darksaber, and Grogu will also be a big part of that too. Gotta have Grogu talking to the Mythosaur through the Force, getting it to chill out. Then they end on a very ominous teaser, like you end on a very high moment with the Mandalorians, but they balance that out with a very ominous Empire teaser. Carson Teva finds a derelict Lambda-class shuttle like the one from Return of the Jedi that looks like it was destroyed in a fight. The details of the wreckage that were recorded by the New Republic are classified, which I think is interesting. And when he investigates, he finds that it's the New Republic prison transport that was carrying Moff Gideon, confirming the story, the rumor that everybody believed that he secretly escaped en route to the War Tribunal. Also confirming it was another rogue group of Mandalorians who rescued Moff Gideon. But here's what might actually be going on. This might be a secret ploy by Moff Gideon, who might have left the Beskar himself on purpose to frame the Mandalorians so that the New Republic could find this, think that it was them, and it would keep the New Republic and the Mandalorians busy so they'd be distracted long enough for the remnants of the Empire, Moff Gideon's forces, Grand Admiral Thrawn's forces to all come together before it was too late for them to do anything about it. But there's also the other idea that there are many groups of Mandalorians. You also have the Mandalorians from the Clone Wars, like the Mandalorians that followed Darth Maul. You also have the Mandalorian Super Commandos. Those are the ones that turned sides and followed the Emperor, followed the Empire. So there are bad groups of Mandalorians out there. Let me know in the comments if you think it was really just a rogue group of Mandalorians who are working with Moff Gideon and his Empire forces now, or do you think this is just part of a larger ploy by Moff Gideon to frame the regular Mandalorians? Because the whole idea is that Beskar metal is so precious, so valuable to regular Mandalorians, they wouldn't leave it behind unless it were on purpose. So obviously the next big thing they have to reveal is where Moff Gideon actually is. Is he working with Mandalorians, like a rogue group of Mandalorians that are serving the Empire? Or is it something different going on? Because it definitely seems like Elia Kane is still working on Moff Gideon, the Empire's orders, infiltrating the New Republic, so they'd have to still be around for her in order to do that. It's not like she's just doing this by herself of her own accord. Just based on the way they're teasing stuff out, like they're really pulling the taffy with Moff Gideon here, this mystery, is that they'll reveal what's really going on with Moff Gideon before they reveal what's going on with Grand Admiral Thrawn. If we get a teaser for Thrawn, I think they'll save that to the very end. Dave Filoni also helped write 3 episodes this season. One of those episodes could be like an Ahsoka cameo scene where they help set some of that stuff up. Usually the things that Dave Filoni winds up working on are characters that he wound up creating or writing himself back in the Clone Wars days. If you spotted any other Easter eggs or references in the episode that I didn't talk about in the video, just write them below in the comments. My episode 6 trailer video will post next, and my full episode 6 video will post next week after they release it. I'll also do a couple bonus videos this week too, so if you have any requests or big questions about what's going on with the other characters, just write them below in the comments. Everyone click here for that episode 6 video. I'll update the link as soon as I post it, and click here for all my other Mandalorian episodes. Thank you so much for watching. Everyone stay safe, and this is the way.